live. This is our 130th,
24th.
124th show. Wouldn't think it was that many, right? So let's begin with, I guess, the story that has the most significance, and that's the leak of a sensitive national security information. Now, we gotta begin with the fact that I don't know what to call the guy the guy that's run away to Ireland. I don't know if he's coming back. Actually, he is pretty much completely fallen apart, and is a. I mean, even if you compare him to a year ago, I mean, it's one delusional statement after another. I think we played one of them last night for you, where he got into some language I don't really understand, like babbling. But I mean, it gets worse than that. So he's over there, and we're gonna go over a little bit of that to kind of get you ready for what might happen. But he was asked very, very quickly, what does he think about the leaks? Now, of course, he should be addressing this as the president of the United States. He should be explaining to us what we know, how much we can know, what happened, how it's being contained, what we're doing to fix it, what we're doing to deal with the immediate crisis it creates, what we're doing long term to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I mean, this is what other presidents, this is what a leader does. That's why we have a president, not so he can run off to Ireland when there's a national crisis and say idiotic things. I mean, we'll go over what he said there. I mean, they must think we're crazy to have a president like this. In any event, it looks like they have focused in on this. Let's call him a kid. I mean, what the heck is he? 21 years old, and he. I mean, the strangest thing is how can he have such a high level clearance? I mean, these documents, from what I can tell, and I mean, I know, I have to go back a few years for my experience with this, but I dealt with a lot of this when I was Associate Attorney General in the Reagan administration, because it was the height of the Cold War, and we had just started the FISA court, and then I dealt with it somewhat as U.S. Attorney, and even as mayor. This is a very, I don't understand, given his kind of clearance to a 21-year-old with very, very meager education, and what's he going to add to this? I mean, you give this information to people that can add something to it, because it is very, very sensitive information. So before I go any further, and since the President of the United States, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, has belittled the importance of this by saying nothing of contemporary, I don't know what he said, some stupid thing like nothing of contemporary value was gotten. That is so far from the truth, it's idiotic. He's not even talking to his own administration. His own spokesman for the National for Intelligence said that this information is about the most damaging that's been leaked in the last 2 decades, and that he's concerned it could lead to the death of agents, not only ours, but for some of our allies. The information that was leaked involved information from the Mossad, information from South Korea, information from the UK, and of course our own. So, who do they think did it? Well, they think this guy named Teixeira. His name is Teixeira, and he works. It's hard to tell from a little bit of information we got exactly what he does, but he works in an installation, and exactly why he would have access to this is still not answered. I mean, it's a completely confusing situation. Now, could he have hacked it? I guess that's possible. I mean, that would raise the question about how insecure it is if he could hack it. And then, of course, at least from what they've said so far, and I'll grant you, they're not giving out a lot of information about this, nor would I if I were investigating it. So I don't want to go too far into it because it may turn out to be totally different tomorrow. And that's okay. I mean, that's the way investigations are done because it's hard to believe he was all alone in doing this. And he wasn't. He actually, he had a nickname in he was part of a club that started during the pandemic. And I don't know how big it is. It sounds like it's pretty big. The Washington Post broke this story today, having an informant, and the informant was a teenager, described as a teenager, who's part of this club. He seems to be the leader of it, and he has a nickname of OG, and he seems to be highly respected by the people who are part of this club. Now, they frankly, they sound like a bunch of nerdy jerks. They certainly aren't national security experts and this was a gaming platform that he was on. And from there, it migrated out to other platforms. Now, did he send it out to other platforms or other people involved in that? Remember, we didn't discover this, which is another very concerning fact. We didn't discover it. It was discovered by the Russians. And they discovered it and they put out their spin on it, actually ridiculed us over it. And then Biden's geniuses at defense and state, woke up and realized that this information had been stolen from them and that the vaunted procedures they have for security are basically meaningless. I asked a question last night. I ask it again. Does the Biden administration do anything right? Or is it just a hopeless group of communists, progressives in the sense of, I now have my description of Democrat progressives. Democrat progressives can be analogized to the disease that Biden has, dementia, which is a progressive disease. It means you decline into oblivion. So that's what the progressives are, who are Democrats. We'll be talking about that a little bit later when we take a look at the kind of job they're doing in destroying American cities. I mean, it's like I began objecting to that word. The first time it was heavily used that I had to deal with was de Blasio was described as a progressive. And I said, my God, he's a retrogressive. I mean, communism goes back 100. Communism is not exactly a new idea. Marx wrote his first works in about 1850. I mean, it's almost, but it's 150 years ago. But how is this progress? This is not like a new idea. This is an idea that has been tried and has resulted in catastrophe. And maybe because it's lasted longer, but because it's equally as vicious, killed a lot more people than the Nazis. 60 to 80 million in China alone. And we got kids who want to be communists because they're not educated, because the communists infiltrated the system and brainwashed them. So I don't know if this kid is one of those brainwashed kids or exactly what he thought he was doing. So let's see, what do we know about the information that was given out that Biden says, is meaningless? Meaningless? Well, first of all, he's seriously compromised the efforts in Ukraine. I mean, I don't know if he's helped or hurt Ukraine more. Here, some of the briefings that were put out give away Ukrainian strategy. They give away Ukrainian weaknesses, including with their air defense, rather specific about their weaknesses. Russia must have loved seeing that information. They then also picked up and put out information about Russia. And it looks like we had done a pretty good job of getting into, Russian communications. And therefore, we're getting pretty good warnings about Russia, what Russia was going to do and not do. Well, that's plugged up now completely. I mean, that alone, the guy should be put in jail for the rest of his life. That'll get people killed. I mean, that will get more people killed. So now the Russians know that they can't communicate over the mediums they were using from which we got that information that told us they were going in this direction rather than that direction. You know how valuable that is in war? I mean, that's one of the ways we won the Battle of Midway, and one of the reasons why we lost so many people in the Battle of the Bulge, because Hitler disguised by using two different methods of communication, the movement of almost 1 million troops from the Eastern Front to the Western Front. And then we had the biggest battle of the war, and we lost more people in that battle than the rest of the war combined. So this is very, very serious. And our demented president is kind of making fun of it. I don't know, there's nothing really important. Meanwhile, the rest of his administration back in America is going nuts and contradicting him. Does he not talk to them? Does he not talk to the guy who said this could get people killed? Does he not realize how this compromises to a great extent and will freeze information we get from Israel, from South Korea, from the Middle East, but probably Israeli sources? I mean, it blasts the hell out of the Egyptian government. It reveals something rather upsetting, that they were going to, behind our backs, they were going to sell all kinds of arms to Russia, and basically, and not tell us. I mean, this kind of stuff is this is the kind of stuff that absolutely does get people killed. That's what happened. Now, the Israeli disclosures paint a very bad picture of Mossad, looking like they're plotting against their own government to some extent and against us, because they don't agree with, maybe they don't agree with the Ukrainian strategy or whatever. Let's see what else. I mean, that's enough to point out that, as usual, the president of the United States doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And here we are with this tremendous catastrophe, and this moron is off in Ireland saying things that are absolutely astounding. Why he isn't removed immediately under the 25th Amendment, just looking at the tapes of him in Ireland, is astounding. Let me just tell you, it's like I like Holman W. Jenkins Jr. For Wall Street Journal, although he's anti-Trump. Kind of the whole Wall Street Journal is anti-Trump, which is kind of really stupid. But I don't mean to make fun of him, but I just tell you how difficult this area is. He has a whole thing today, of all days, saying that it's very hard and we're probably not going to solve this disclosure of information. Of course, as he's writing it, we're solving it. So nobody's an expert on this, believe me. And Mr. Jenkins, I'm not in any way. This could happen to me too. This is an area that you have to have humility when you deal with it, because you never know about the quality of your information, and you never know if you're interpreting it correctly. But by disclosing these documents, we've given the Russians a great advantage, and we've also given them a great advantage against the Ukrainian people, the people we say we're trying to help. Maybe they do better without us. I don't know. But I mean, you got to remember, we go back to the beginning of that. Putin delayed going in, if I recall correctly, through Christmas. He started this before Christmas. I knew what he was doing. I mean, I knew exactly what he was. I knew the strategy he was following. He and Trump, very wisely, sort of indicated he probably understands it too. I've not talked to him about it. When he said, I told Z and Putin in different ways, if you go into Ukraine or you go into Taiwan, you're not going to like what I do to you. And since Z was having dinner with him once and having dessert, and he very calmly left and came back in 15 minutes, and all of a sudden it's on the news that we're bombing Syria. He said to him, "Did you just go order the bombing?" And he looked at him and he said, "Yeah." That stays in somebody's mind. Now, if you're a Z, you say to yourself, "This is a tough guy." And he said, so they asked him, "Do you think they believe you that you're going to do all this damage to them if they do what you're warning them they shouldn't do?" He said, "No, they probably don't believe me, but maybe they believe me 10%. You know how wise that is? 10% means you can't take the risk, right? Because he could destroy the world. And then they're not maniacs. Putin and Z are not maniacs. They evil and maniac are two different things. Maniac is the Ayatollah, who has this religious thing. I'm not even sure that's for real, because I think the Ayatollah is a big organized criminal, really, as well as all those fat little mullahs that he has running around. So I guess we prosecute this guy. You got to do it to deter other people. The genie's out of the box. You can't put it back. This information is now out. I agree that you should ask the press. Please don't, if you can, please don't publish it. All you do is maybe some people can be saved. I know that's hard because at this point, I think we know enough. And I'm very, very strong advocate of the American people being informed, and they should know. And I think we know enough now to analyze this. I think anything else we reveal, unless it really is, we've analyzed it very carefully, it could really create enormous problems for live, living human beings. If not our intelligence operatives, Israel, South Korea, UK, and who knows who else. Now, just to let you realize it's not over. Right now, they estimate about 60 major files were taken. Now, most of these files were files that were prepared for briefings. So these are like the files you prepared to go brief the president, the files you would prepare to go brief the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the files you would prepare to go brief the Secretary of Defense. So we're talking about high-level information. I mean, they can't be wasting their time on trivial, non-important information as Biden tries to make it appear. Now, why is he not being criticized for this? This affects people's lives if he's incompetent like this. So we're going to find out, I'm sure, as we move along, a lot more about this leak. Right now, the questions are very kind of wide open, and anybody trying to answer them now is going to be doing like Mr. Jenkins here. They're going to say, well, this is going to be very hard to solve, and then it's going to get solved. And I'm telling you, that is the nature of what we're dealing with. I used to tell people that about emergencies. I used to tell people, and I dealt with, as you know, a lot of emergencies. And I would tell people, I'm going to tell you what I know, but I guarantee you some of it will be different tomorrow. And it's not because I'm lying to you. It's because it's the nature of emergency that people get confused, get upset. They don't describe it correctly. At the beginning, more information comes out. So let's go from the ridiculous to the sublime. Do you like light beer? Hello. I mean, it's like it's water. Well, it is kind of yellow, but I must say, I do not like light beer, and don't get angry at me. I'm probably getting a lot of trouble when I say this. I always thought like it was a beer for sissies. It's not like a real beer. I drink scotch, so I don't say that I look down at beer drink. I like beer only with meals. I like it with Chinese food, and I like it with Indian food. But to just have a drink of beer, not for me. But to have a drink of half beer and half water, I might as well have orange juice. I am glad they're getting the shit kicked out of them. I think I can say that on here. I'm glad. They've lost $5 billion. Now, I know that isn't probably in their world. It's not going to break them, but it did affect their stock. And they're always watching that stock. And I think the movement is growing. I think I mean, let's face it. A lot of the people who drink beer are not exact. I have no idea why they think this, whatever it is. I don't know I don't know what pronoun to use. It, he, okay, he. Oh, he, right, because he biologically, he's got what makes he. So I don't know why they thought this was going to affect a lot. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't think a lot of beer drinkers are into this, are into transgender. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe commercially they thought this was going to be wise. It really is a good idea, and a good idea to protect against the indoctrination that this involves. They get kicked in the teeth big time, and I think that's happening. I think that is happening. If you just look at the loss of money that they've had, and you just follow, even in New York, which is kind of a really liberal town, they're getting killed. I mean, nobody wants to buy it. Nobody wants to buy the bottles. Nobody wants to buy it. A tab. Well, Nike. Well, now we're going to get to Nike. We're going to get to the trans bra blowback in a minute. Nike. I have to. I'm going to read. I'm going to read what Megyn Kelly said about this. Nike sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney now for an effing sports bra. Kelly said during Tuesday's edition of the Megyn Kelly Show. I'm sorry, Dylan doesn't have breasts. Are we nuts? Are we really nuts? So he's got sponsorships with Nike, who also don't they sponsor that basketball player who loves Red China too? I think Nike loves Red China. Yeah, and Nike loves Red China. Yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, the people who like to ridicule our national anthem and our flag.
LeBron James, Colin Kaepernick.
So that we have 32% of people that now value patriotism, and these morons don't get this. They're being engineered to do this by communists. This is part of the communist plan to take us over, get us to hate our country, get a second-rate quarterback like. I mean, that guy lasted 1 year, and he. First year, he was a big flash in the pan because he threw the touchdown that lost the Super Bowl for his team because he was a stupid, uncontrolled, running around crazy quarterback.
And Mayor, he didn't start any of the kneeling for the flag until after he was benched. He didn't do it when he was a big star and taking
prove what I said the day he came up. I mean, it was before I knew anything about how this guy hates this country. I said, this guy is a flash in the pan. I could see by the way he played quarterback. And I had a big fight with a friend of mine who said he's going to be the next great quarterback. I said, boy, to be a running quarterback in the NFL, you got to be really smart, like Russell Wilson. You got to be really smart.
Vic.
And you have to be really controlled. Vic ran too much. Now you say, okay, he was very effective. His career was cut in half. How many years did Brady play? How many years did Manning play? How many years did
Rogers still playing?
Hero play.
Brett Favre. No, my hero's Brett Favre. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
And I mean, Brett Favre took hits, but he didn't go looking for him.
He got hit. Yeah, he took a lot of hits.
Vic got hit big time.
Yeah.
I mean, he was reckless. Cut his career in half. I mean, what do you have, about 5 good years?
Yeah, between that and the dog fighting, he didn't.
Did he win a Super Bowl?
He did not.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Or was he a backup on? I don't know if he was a backup.
He never won a Super Bowl.
He never won a Super Bowl.
A guy who runs around uncontrollably like that.
The point with Kaepernick, he didn't. But Mayor, he didn't do this whole thing with the flag when he was popular, and he did it once he was benched.
His career was over.
Yeah, at that point. And then he made a big stink about it.
Yeah, and then he thinks that the teams don't want him because of that. In fact, the teams are such unpatriotic sellouts. They would have taken him no matter what. I mean, look at the NBA with LeBron James and China, and look at all the ones who were sucking up to the Black Lives Matter, the cop killing organization.
Speaking of basketball,
so now let's look at Nike. Please don't. Come on, can we stick together for once? I'm not a fan of boycotts. But this is really, really necessary because they do this to us. Look what they did to My Pillows. They took it out of every damn store in the country. Why? Because the man believes that the election was stolen. By the way, he's probably seen 1,000 documents to prove it. It's not as if he made it up. And the man, that's his position. That's what he believes. In America, he's entitled to it. Meanwhile, they want to kill it. They want to make him bankrupt. They want to destroy his business. And thank God he's a very resourceful man who does the advertising. By the way, this would be a good time to buy some My Pillows. And you can help him. You can help me. You can help the movement. Just get some My Pillows 2.0, the new ones. Code Rudy. Yeah. Or, I really love the slippers. The robe, lots of stuff, mattresses. I mean, lots of stuff. You can get lots of stuff. It's all good, really, really good. And I got to tell you, that advertisement that he does where he shows up in your medicine cabinet, I think that is hilarious. I watch it. I mean, you must watch it 5 times a day. It would be the kind of advertisement that usually I'd say if it goes on, I'd put it off because it's on so often. Every time I see it, I laugh. He's so funny when he shows up in the medicine cabinet. Sometimes when I open my medicine cabinet, I expect to see him. I say, "Hey, hi, Mike. What are you doing there?" I got plenty of My Pillows. I just ordered some more. So go to mypillows.com/Rudy and let's do something positive. And take your Nikes and burn them. And but you'll look. Take your Bud Light and just. And then work out. You can do this with the cans. It'd be good. Strengthen your muscles a little. Like take the cans and squish them up.
Did you see Kid Rock?
And you can take a nice basket and you can practice your basketball shots.
Mayor? Did you see your friend Kid Rock and what he did with?
We Dr. Maria and Ted and I had a very nice meeting with Kid Rock when we were in Nashville. We spent a couple hours with him, and I'm so proud of him.
You saw what he did.
Oh yeah, I saw what he did. I saw what he said. I saw what he did. I mean, Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly because of Trump and all. I'm proud of her that she did this. So there's this. They don't describe this woman who's leading the backlash against Nike, but she got some good quotes here. She describes herself as Southern Mama, and she's sick and tired of Nike pushing us around. And she said that before she burned her sports bra. Here's a picture. They don't show her face. Maybe she doesn't want the publicity, but they do show her bra. See, she's burning her sports bra right there. And she said, "You choose a little boy with no breasts and some junk in his pants to represent real women." The TikToker declared, "Nike, I'm done with you. I will never buy a Nike product for as long as I live. And there are millions and millions and millions of women just like me." She then asked other women to burn your Nike bras. I don't know how many women have Nike bras.
Probably.
I never like Nikes because I have a very wide foot, and they don't make make width. They don't make shoes with width. You go figure. I mean, I have a theory about that too, but I won't say it. I will keep my mouth shut so they don't get in any more trouble than I get in most of the time. Here's the article, 5 billion. I love it. Went down by 5 billion.
So what do you for beer drinkers? What do you recommend for beer drinkers, Mayor? What do they switch to?
Oh, how about get a real beer? Get how about not Miller Lite? Get real Miller's beer, or get a Guinness, yeah, or get one of those dark, like when I was in Ireland and
craft
London.
Beer? Are you a craft beer guy?
Craft? What's craft beer? I don't know craft beer.
Yeah, you're clearly not a beer man. Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
I used to now. Last 10 years,
I spent a little bit of my time being a bartender, so I used to do. I know how to do that. I know
you're not a big beer guy.
In New York, we had Wrangell beer. That's gone. We had Pabst beer.
Knickerbocker, Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR.
Yeah.
Bush. You ever hear of Bush Light?
Oh yeah. That's the same company though. That's Anheuser-Busch.
That's right. There's a whole family of beers we have to avoid now.
They're even people are canceling their horses too, coming to Christmas things.
Oh, the Budweiser.
Yeah, sorry. You got to make sacrifices for the greater good. Heck with their horses.
Oh, it's them, and then there's the Wells Fargo wagon, right? So those that are canceling the Budweiser Clydesdales, give Wells Fargo a call. Are they woke too? Probably.
These people are trying to. This is not about transgender, gender, or any of that. It's about destroying our way of life and our country so we can be part of one world. I don't know what they have to do to show it to you, beat it over your head. But this is what they want. This is what Biden wants to the extent he knows what he wants. This is what all the people around him want. This is what Soros is paying all the money for. This is what Klaus Schwab wants. And this is what they're trying to do. And they're following almost to the letter Marx's rules on how to do this. And one of them is to get you to hate your country. The other is to make us a totally immoral country. So we have no rules other than the ones they impose on us. Read Orwell. Orwell will explain that to you. Destroying, getting God out of America, getting religion out of America, taking the kids away from parents, and then training them to hate their country so that they'll easily accept an alternative is some of the basics of the whole Marxist plan to take over a country, which they've executed 27 times and probably cost well over 100 million lives. And because our kids are so damn uneducated, they don't know any of this. They don't read. They don't read anymore. They don't read. I mean, my God, imagine if I had to read Das Kapital. It's a book. A book. Oh my, I got to read a book. Oh. They don't teach us to read a book anymore in school. They teach us how America started only for the purpose of slavery. That was it. And Abraham Lincoln was really a bad guy. That's what they teach us in school. And 1 and 1 equals whatever you want to make it. We don't want to make you feel bad if you say 1 and 1 equals 5. Mathematics is racist. Yeah. I mean, requiring people to get the right answer is racist. Do you know how insulting that is? Do you know how that's racist? These pigs are racist. That's what they are. Now, we can't not emphasize what they're also trying to cover up, and that is the emergence of a new, appears to be rather important witness to Joe Biden's criminality. I don't know why we need more. The hard drive has document after document, writing after writing. We've got about 12 eyewitnesses to Biden's criminality. And his son is the best witness of all by putting on the hard drive what we would call in the law an admission, which is admissible as an exception to the hearsay rule. And this is what I would call, as a former prosecutor, a piece of gold. It's his statement that for 30 years, I have been paying all the expenses of the family, and I still have to give my father half of my income, which proves that this was all a pass-through to Joe Biden. This was a pass-through of what they call, money for influence. Money for influence. It's a bribe. BRIBE. It's a bribe. And Joe Biden was bought. And as time went by, now we got into the national security aspect of it. The people buying him were Russia and China. I mean, today they increased the sanctions on Russia, but none of the people that gave money to the Bidens are on that sanction list. Sound like a bribe to you? Sounds like a bribe to me.
Mayor, we got some calls coming in. You ready?
I am ready, and then we'll take 1 or 2 calls, and then we'll do the should our president be put in the hospital?
Kelvin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Who do we have?
We have Kelvin in Boulder, Colorado. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Please.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
How are you, Kelvin?
I'm good. It was nice talking to you again.
Yes. So what would you like to say? What would you like?
I would like to talk about I last time I talked about I was from Taiwan, and I would like to pass the messages and appreciate you support Taiwan and United States, Taiwan. I think both countries share a common belief in freedom, democracy, two countries should work together. And I know President Trump, he is very supportive of Taiwan, but currently, I don't trust the justice system. I feel like he's under the persecution, because I know New York, Democrats from New York, and they have destroyed the state. And I know like Manhattan DA, he is very partisan guy, and he also weak on crime. The reason why New York City have a lot of crime because of him. So
he is an enabler of crime. Absolutely.
Yeah. I haven't endorsed any candidate for 2024, but I just don't trust the justice system, because New York is very partisan state. One day we must to overthrow the Democrat. And New Yorker had to wake up.
Yeah.
Because I believe Republican is a good choice, and you was a good mayor.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Kelvin.
very much appreciate that. And here's my bottom line on 24. If we have 4 more years of Democratic rule by the party of slavery, now the party of communism, will be irreparably destroyed, and we will have the distinction of passing our country on as a totalitarian country to our children. And we'll have a criminal justice system that is completely the product of a fascist state. That you can't tell me that we have equal justice in America anymore. I mean, if you do, I'm not going to go through it, and I do it all the time. I'm bored listening to myself about how it is so obvious that, Hunter Biden. This is another witness. His name is, and you're not going to see this in the New York Times. Like this, the fact that this man says that he has direct evidence of Joe Biden being a criminal, committing a crime back in 2015, and there's no reason why we should begin by thinking this guy's lying. So who is he? I don't know him. I didn't know anything about him. I wish I did back when I was investigating this, because but it wouldn't have done any good. I have 5 witnesses who can testify against Biden directly about his bribery in Ukraine. Then I got 4 more in China. But here's another one. This man comes forward. Trump didn't find him. I didn't. The man came forward like John Isaacs did, because he cares about his country, which is why I'm doing it. So this man is named Mike McCormick. He was a former White House stenographer. And he says that he has relevant information ignored by the FBI that implicates President Biden in a foreign influence peddling conspiracy. And he says that also involved in it is Jake Sullivan, the current national security advisor. I'm a witness to that happening, he said. And he went with Biden to Ukraine 3 times, the most significant one being in 2014. Now, the timing of it there was enormously significant, because that was right after Hunter Biden was put on the board of the most crooked company in Ukraine. The decision being made by an organized criminal named Zlochevsky, who stole billions from Ukraine and was a partisan to Russia. It was right after he was put on the board, but it was before it became public. And Joe was heading off to Ukraine, and we have, and McCormick himself has documented from the hard drive. He got it through an agency where they make reference to what Joe was going to do when he went there, and all of it was to benefit Burisma, the company that was paying them almost $2 million a year on the books. Remember, there's a witness that the FBI didn't interview, like they never interviewed him. He's begging to be interviewed. He is volunteering to go in front of the grand jury. He's given up trying to get the FBI to interview him. It's like when I offered them the hard drive and they said, no, we don't want that. We don't Please don't give us any evidence against Biden. Don't you know we're covering up for him? You're not stupid, Mayor Giuliani. You got to know we're covering up for him. And it's not us, but our leadership has become totally crooked. So I'm going to let you listen to him. We're stealing this from Jesse's show last night, Jesse Waters. But I thought maybe it'd be better if you listen to the witness, Mr. McCormick. As I said, this is a picture of him here. So you can see he's a real person right there. And he worked for the Biden administration. And I think he does a pretty good job of explaining it. He's going to get it up nice and loud. So you get the whole thing.
So I wrote a Substack about it in November. Nothing happened. I went to the FBI and filled out their witness tip line. There's a website. You fill out all these tips, these web directions. I submitted it. If you lie to the FBI when you're submitting a tip like that, you can go to jail. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. Joe Biden is lying. Joe Biden is a criminal. That's the bottom line. I don't care if he goes to Timbuktu or Ireland or anywhere. He's a criminal. And I've got the evidence. If they put me in front of the grand jury that's right now seated in Wilmington with Special Prosecutor David Weiss, my testimony becomes the evidence that will put him in jail or will lead to his impeachment. Probably lead to his impeachment first.
Now, how do you not interview him if you're a legitimate FBI? How do you not interview him? How do you just assume the man is lying? Why would he do this? He's lying. John McIsaac is lying. The two prosecutors in Ukraine are lying. The woman who says that she was funneling money into an offshore bank account in excess of the money that we know about is lying. Hunter is lying when he says to his daughter, I've been kicking back half the income to Pop for 30 years. So he's lying. He was lying to his daughter when he said that. I mean, Bobolinsky is lying when he says that Biden was deeply involved with the Chinese communists and getting money out of the deal and knew the details of all of the foreign transactions. He's lying too. No, the FBI never followed up an interview with him. It's like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. No, we're not going to. No, let's go make up a crime on Trump. But let's let Biden get away with selling out the United States of America at the highest level. I mean, taking money from China. I mean, there'd be a day in which you'd probably get hung for that. I keep telling, just please ask yourself, suppose Roosevelt was getting money from Nazi Germany or Reagan was getting money from the Soviet Union. And Mr. Nitwit does the following yesterday in Ireland.
I was going to ask who you're referring to.
Biden, stand up. I'm proud of you.
I don't know if you heard that. Let's play it one more time. I mean, this is in Ireland. This is such an embarrassment to our country.
I'm here with my youngest son, Hunter Biden. Stand up. I'm proud of you.
Now, I don't say he should condemn his son. I'm not asking him to do that. But don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, we could begin with the fact he was thrown out of the military for being a degenerate drug addict. We can talk about his gun crime where anybody else would go to jail for 10 years. We could talk about the pictures that indicate a pretty perverted guy. He told you himself that he's a danger to the children. He told you that, Joe. And you're pulling that bull on us? Yeah, he was good for you. He got you, I don't know, 30, 40 million. And it was good sacrificing your son and his psyche by putting him in contact with some of the most dangerous people in the world when he had an addictive personality. It was good for you because it kept it nice and tight. Wasn't so good for him, though, was it? I don't think I've ever said this before about anybody because I don't think you get to judge it. But I'm going to judge this. You are one lousy father, and you're one lousy grandfather. You got a granddaughter out there that you won't acknowledge because of politics. What won't you do because of politics? Where does the line get drawn? You sell out your country. You take millions. You have contributed to your son being a pathetic, degenerate drug addict. And then you tell the United States of America and the world that you're proud of him? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. How about this one? Let's try this one now. Listen to this.
Matter of fact, as you walk into my office in the Oval Office in the United States Capitol, guess what? You know.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? So you walk into my office in the United States Capitol. I think everyone in this audience knows that the White House is not inside the Capitol. Okay, if that were one time out of 1,000, he does this every day, and they cover it up. The guy has lost it. I don't think he'd be able to go from here to there without somebody telling him to go there, and I'm sure they're feeding him. I'm sure. And he's our president. He's our president at a very, very critical time. This isn't a joke. This is disgusting. And you know what's really disgusting? That so many people let him get away with it. They don't care about their country. How can you sit there as a cabinet member and watch this guy? Blah, 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 blah. Well, let me find the blah, 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 blah. I don't know where that one is. Do you have that one?
Which one, Mayor?
The one where he starts saying blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. I do. Well, I'll bring that one up. I'll put it on my mic.
Now, I'll tell you the one that he said yesterday. One that he said yesterday is, see if I can find it.
Should I play this one?
Which one is that?
This is his blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, play blah, 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 blah.
I don't even know how to title. I don't even know how to label these things.
Just
Programs like young entrepreneur, young enterprise Northern Ireland. Programs like young entrepreneur, young enterprise Northern Ireland. Programs like young entrepreneur.
Okay, you got the point, right? It's gone. Who knows how many brain cells are gone? Now, here's one that is very serious. They all are serious. When he's asked about the leak, I don't know if I have that one. I had it for the radio show, but I don't think I have that one. But it's all over the place. Well, no, it's not actually. You got to go find it because they hide it. When he was asked about the leak, he didn't want to take any questions about it. This is outrageous. He hasn't had a press conference in 10 months. Oh, by the way, one of the things that was leaked is that we have military people inside Ukraine. Do you realize how that contradicts his saying he wasn't going to use the military? Does he understand it? How damaging that is? We're not going to put boots on the ground. Maybe they don't wear boots, the military that he put in there.
So comment below. Let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from and any questions you have for the mayor. Your chat is now viewable on the screen. We have a monitor now so the mayor can see what's being said over there on the side. So thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live, the fastest hour on
Two solutions to Taiwan. Don't move it. Build a U.S. naval base on the island. And people of Taiwan, I couldn't read the rest of it. They took it off.
It goes on its own, Mayor. It's scrolling.
Okay,
I'm not touching it.
The thing here, it keeps moving on you.
Which means there's a lot of chats. I mean, our chat room is growing each night, and you can see by just how fast
New
it's
Jersey,
moving.
I think a movement should be started on the right to boycott everything that goes woke. Beer, shoes, anything. Boycott the shit out of everything.
Douglas says hello. He's tuning in from Wisconsin.
I actually think it has to be done in a more targeted way. I don't think you can boycott everything. But when you have egregious situations like Nike and Bud Light, bam, go right at them. Nike in particular, because Nike got a lot of real problems with China, with the red Chinese too. So, I mean, that's a good one to really, really hit.
Florida girl says tuning in from Merritt Island, and we miss you when we are back in New York.
Island, Island, not IR.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what he did in Ireland. This is I don't know if we have this one. You can look for it, but in the course of his babbling, he said that he was really proud to meet with the rugby team, the Black and Tan of Ireland. Now, first of all, there is no Black and Tan rugby team of Ireland, just like his father and his uncle were dead for 7 years when he said he gave him the medal in the White House. There is no Black and Tan rugby team in Ireland or anywhere else. There is a rugby team in Australia, which is very, very world famous, wins the title, a fair number of times, called the Black. But that's a pretty big confusion. We're in Ireland and we're talking about Australia. But do you know what the Black and Tan refers to? It refers to the paramilitary group that the British government put together that the people in the south of Ireland believe killed many Roman Catholics, killed many Irish Catholics, slaughtered them. They consider it a terrorist group. He doesn't know that? He doesn't remember that? Gosh, he's Irish. I'm not. I mean, this guy's supposed to be a foreign policy expert. Well, that's a joke, isn't it? Do you realize how you were conned? Do you get it? Gates tried to tell you, right? Gates served with him in the Obama administration. He didn't say that just for the heck of it. He said it because he wanted the American people to know this guy's dangerous. He said he has never made a correct decision about foreign policy. Joe is unerringly wrong all the time. Well, he sure as heck has proven Gates to be a prophet, hasn't he? Except it's worse than that because he's hurting our country. He's absolutely hurting our country. All right, let's see. Ireland is getting it. Yeah, I say that's right. Hello from Ireland. Somebody just let us is listening to us in Ireland. Hello from Ireland. Neil D. Moriarty. One day he's Irish, the next day he's something else, and last week he is yet another background. Oh yeah. He grew up in a black neighborhood.
No, he went to a black college.
Oh, he went to a black college that says he never was there.
His neighborhood was Puerto Rican when there was like 0.3% Puerto Ricans.
Well, he's been a pathological liar from the time he was a child. I mean, the guy cheated his way through that. This is how I was introduced to him. My chief of staff went to law school with him and said, you got to meet Joe Biden. He's a great guy, but he's like one of the dumbest people you're ever going to meet. He was the dumbest guy in our law school class, and he cheated his way through. And then he told me the whole story about his plagiarism and how he went to the dean and the dean's wife, and he charmed them, and they let him back in, and that nobody in law school wanted to sit near him because he'd get you in trouble because he was leaning over your shoulder. I mean, he was a thief then.
Mayor, we're getting a call
From?
Mayor, we're getting a call from Israel.
Oh.
Could you just state your name, let us know where you're calling from, and you're on with the mayor now.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry I've been so persistent. How are you doing?
Oh, there
Joel
he
calling
is.
from the Civ
Joel,
Gallery.
my correspondent in Israel. Joel, how are you? I'm sorry I wasn't able to get
I'm
to you
good.
today, but I had a load of calls. So tell us what you want to tell us about. You're very, very informative and very valuable.
Well, thanks. It's 4 a.m. in the morning here, so it must be important.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, of course. You don't think of that. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Joe is a regular.
Joe called my radio show about twice a week and gives me a great deal of information about what's going on in Israel and also has a great deal of knowledge about the Biden criminality.
The things that get me through this, it's so intense, are reading the Mass every day, praying every day, listening to you and the War Room Pandemic. And for 2.5, I also did an IC3 report to the FBI back in 2020, so I can really relate to what Mr. McCormick is going through.
And did they not pay attention to it, Joe? Did they not, even back then they were not?
No,
paying?
and now they don't pay attention. And for the last year and a half, when I call them, they have my number tracked, and they say, I called last week when this news broke because I thought, okay, I'll call my home office where I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm 55 years old. I went to college there, and they just don't care. They don't care, and as soon as I say it's me, after giving my birthday, the call says, "You've been informed by the FBI not to call any further." I reported the crime of the $150 billion China hustle, which is 10 times bigger than the FTX debacle. So the $30 million they are paying Biden is pennies to them. 150 companies deregistered. The CEOs in China got enriched. And US
remember. Yeah.
And U.S. court judgments are worthless. So the China hustle, like My Pillow, he talks about My Pillow 2.0. We're going to have China Hustle 2.0.
Yeah.
And the FBI just does not care. I think that the CCP actually owns the FBI, and I think that they've honey trapped enough agents, Hunter Biden honey trapped himself, but they also honey trap a lot of these agents, like the Midianites did in the Bible.
Tell them what a honey trap.
They get compromat on them. They
like the prostitute, the prostitute, the female agent that was I remember if it was Russian or Chinese, and
Eric Swalwell, like Eric Swalwell, but they have thousands of these girls, not just the one that got Eric Swalwell.
Or like Feinstein, who had a Chinese probably operative with her for 20 years. Now she wouldn't.
And
know.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Now she can't remember.
Yep.
But and they can't get rid of her. And by the way, it's feminist to try to get rid of her, according to Pelosi, who, by the way, isn't as bad off as Biden and Feinstein, but she's not working with all her brains either. So
right, and they're so rich now. They've lost their sense of right and wrong.
Of course they have. I mean,
and not only that, but yeah.
Okay.
In terms of Jesus, because I know you have some folks that are on the line now that are devout. These hypocrisy verses of before you take the little twig out of your neighbor's eye, look into yourself. That is going on now on such a massive level of this, like the whole 5G internet is projecting. And Trump, unfortunately, is having to absorb a lot of other people's guilt.
Yeah.
So just keep them strong and let's keep praying for each other.
Well, thank you, Joel. And you're in one of the most beautiful parts of the world. So every time I talk to you, I think of my trips to Israel. I used to do it like twice a year when I was in business, because I was in the security business, and I work with all of those. I mean, Israel probably produces a lot of the best security companies, particularly for internet security, in the world. A lot of good stuff is being done there. Although, did you see?
And in terms of the, we're going to be coming up on the apostles. There's something about being here in the Sea of Galilee for the folks that come over. When you feel the water that the apostles experienced 2,000 years ago, it makes it very, very real, and it creates longevity, and it clears up the mind, and it allows the soul to be pure.
Well, Joel, that was beautiful.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
And thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
We'll be talking. I have
Thanks.
to get.
Thanks, Ted. Take care.
I've got to get these in because I wanted to get them into my radio show and I didn't. Well, we're in soccer time right now. So Governor Murphy, who I pronounced during the 2022 election was the worst governor in the United States, which is hard when you got people like Whitlis and Prince Newsom and those people. So 9,000 professors and everybody else at Rutgers is on strike. The law of New Jersey allows you to go to court, as the law of New York doesn't, get an injunction to get them back. But because he's gotten so much money from the teachers and the teachers' unions, he's not going to enforce that law. That's not crooked. Look at this guy. It should be on a wanted poster. This is the guy that also was warned about not putting elderly people in nursing homes. He actually got a direct warning. We don't know that Cuomo got that. He got a direct warning, and he put him in anyway. And of course, he's a Democrat. I don't know. Do you have to be a criminal to be a high-level Democrat nowadays? I mean, Pelosi, the queen of insider trading. Here's an interesting little thing I just want to warn you about. an AI generated news anchor, that's artificial intelligence, made her debut on a Kuwaiti media outlet, which plans to use the virtual presenter to read news bulletins. This is from the Post, might have been yesterday. She says, I'm Feder, the first presenter in Kuwait who works with artificial intelligence at Kuwait News. What kind of news do you prefer? The faux woman said on the outlet's Twitter account on Saturday. Let's hear your opinions, she added in classical Arabic as she appeared with uncovered blonde hair, wearing a black jacket and a white blouse. Look, this doesn't sound like it's Orthodox Islam. Although I have to tell you, who is making the point that I think it's McCoy. She's making the point that the Islamic women are really, really up in arms over the transgender brainwashing that goes on in the schools. And then I'm going to end because we're going to be on Newsmax in a short while. I'm going to end by reading you something that I think is it's wisdom. And this is from a very, very great writer, Heather McDonald, in the City Journal, who's also written a lot of very, very good and valuable works on criminology, which I've used, work with it. And she wrote this in the City Journal. Being female is not an accomplishment, nor is being black, gay, or gender fluid. All should have nothing to do with faculty hiring or student admissions at universities. Indeed, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI bureaucracy, is the nemesis of the Enlightenment ideal of knowledge. A university's task is the pursuit of truth. The DEI bureaucracy, however, is founded on a lie, one that teaches students to think of themselves as victims and to see racism where none exists. The university should embrace a single color-blind definition of excellence. It will only do so, however, by eliminating DEI fiefdoms and by replacing identity with merit as the touchstone of academic accomplishment. That's how we become a great nation again. Want to make America great again? The decisions that are made should be made on a merit. We have to have the best people. We're under a tremendous challenge right now. Our educational system is sinking. We're like in 20th place, 30th place. It means all those countries are smarter than us. Well, you stick with me, I'll stick with you, and all of the others who do the kind of thing that I do. You know who they are. One of these days we'll name them. You know, if I name them all, I'm going to leave somebody out and they'll get mad at me. But thank goodness that we have this ability to call them out and to bring out things like Mr. McCormick, or a lot of people wouldn't know about it. And it's really, really important. And that we're able to show you what they don't show you, and that is that we have a feeble guy hiding in Ireland. He's hiding there, so he won't have to live up to his responsibilities as president because he doesn't know what's going on. I tell you, he doesn't talk to his staff. He says the leaks don't mean anything, and they all say it's the end of the world. Well, you say a prayer tonight that God gives us grace and blessings and looks down on this country that was really the one that valued religion more than any other. And that last poll was devastating about religion and patriotism. But we're going to get it back. We got to be hopeful. Americans have been faced with tremendous challenges, and we've always overcome, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. There are enough people like you and me who love this country, who don't go to Ireland and run it down. He did a whole January 6th thing in Ireland too. I can't be bothered telling you all the kind of stuff that this guy does. I mean, maybe he thinks he's a president of China. I don't know. But in any event, the mind is gone. And if you don't know it, I mean, the conscience and the character was never there. But now the mind is gone. They got to get him out. I don't care about Harris or whatever. You got to get this guy out. Impeachment, 25th Amendment. Well, thank you. And we went into soccer time. And if you want to switch on Newsmax, you may see me or hear me. Don't get scared. God bless America.